Now, the question is, can primary amines act as nucleophiles? Yes, that's right. Primary amines that were produced in the previous video, they can react one more time with halogenoalkanes and they can produce another intermediate. Primary amines here, they act as nucleophiles and they attack the halogenoalkane, which specifically attacks the positive dipole carbon on that halogenoalkane. After that, this intermediate, which is produced in the previous step, it will attack and interact with NH3. Here, NH3 is acting as a base, as in the previous video in the first step. Amines or primary amines, they act with as nucleophiles, and in the second step, they act as a base. Here, this intermediate would lose a proton and give it to the NH3. So when it loses a proton, it will become R2NH, which is a secondary amine, and plus the NH4 plus X minus. So primary amine, when it reacts with a halogenoalkane, it produces a secondary amine. In the first step, it acts as a nucleophile. In the second step, the ammonia acts as a base. What about this produced secondary amine? Can it react again with a halogenoalkane and produce another tertiary amine? Well, the answer is yes. Secondary amine that is produced in the previous reaction can act as a nucleophile. When it interacts with halogenoalkane, the secondary amine will be acting as a nucleophile and it will produce this intermediate as we have seen before. After that, this intermediate will react with an ammonia molecule. This ammonia molecule is acting as a base. So this base will accept a proton from this intermediate and the tertiary amine will be formed, which is R3N plus NH4 plus X minus. Now, what about the tertiary amine? Does it also do like the previous secondary and primary amines? Well, of course, yes. Tertiary amines can react again with halogenoalkanes to produce R4N plus X minus. This R4N plus X minus is called quaternary ammonium salt. Now, after all these steps that we have seen in the previous video and these steps that we have seen here in this video, a mixture of primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary ammonium salt is produced. Does that mean this step of forming amines is an efficient one? What do you think? Well, scientifically speaking, these steps and this procedure is not very efficient at all if we want to prepare amines. We have used a huge amount of ammonia, so that the huge amount of ammonia that we have used could be better used in another way to produce primary amines and secondary amines. Now let's look at the mechanism of the reaction again. So to sum up everything, in the first stage of the reaction, ammonia acts as a nucleophile. Like you can see here, this is ammonia NH3 acts as a nucleophile and attacks the positive dipole carbon deficient in the halogenoalkane. Then it will produce RCH2NH3 plus the halogen aside. In the second stage, ammonia acts as a base. In the second stage, ammonia acts as a base where this intermediate will be attacked by the ammonia, where the lone pair of the ammonia will attack the proton, as you can see, and this bond between the nitrogen and hydrogen will break down. So we will get RCH2NH2, which is the primary amine, plus NH4 plus.